Myles Garrett getting that $40 million per year, which means that Jamar Chase's price tag just went up because this guy's supposed to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the league coming from his own organization. And they keep dilly-dallying around his deal, around T. Higgins, around Hendrickson. The Bengals need to step up. What did this man just get? We'll go over the details of the Myles Garrett contract extension and then go over what this means again for Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and the rest of free agency, because every single contract is connected. It is a web, if you will. Doesn't matter if it's a different position. It's all connected. When one piece of the web gets dragged up, it pulls the other parts up as well. Doesn't matter. Quarterback determines what wide receivers are going to make. Even if it's a small increase across position, it all gets dragged up the pipeline. The fantasy football show, the Myles Garrett reaction show, the Jamar Chase just went to $40 million per year show begins right now. File in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
So here we are discussing, first of all, the congratulations goes to Myles Garrett for getting this 4-year extension, 6 total years, $40 million per year annually, no trade clause, $204 million total in value of the contract, $100 million cash in the first 3 years, and $1 million annual workout bonus, and $88 million execution guarantee. This is a crazy contract, and more importantly than anything else that I say today, this means that Jamar Chase will be telling the Bengals, I'm getting $40 million or I'm not playing football in 2025. Because his own organization has come out and said he is going to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the National Football League. Well, way to go. Way to put your foot in your mouth. Way to not extend this kid in the 2024 offseason before he dropped a triple crown on you. Now, I will say this complicates things a little bit in terms of, I think, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both getting signed at least in a speedy fashion, unless this makes the Bengals jump and go, let's get it done now before it gets even worse, which I don't know that they're going to do. But this almost guarantees that Jamar Chase is getting $40 million per year. And if he doesn't, it's going to get extremely, extremely ugly, I think. Because this guy already kind of played it cool. He was cool as a cucumber walking into the 2024 season. Showed up, started throwing the football around, started, in his uniform. He's throwing the ball back and forth. He's playing catch. He's out there looking like a guy that wants to be out there, is not trying to make waves, wants to get paid, did it quietly, didn't do it like Brandon Ayuk. Probably one of the worst offseason contract negotiations we've ever seen, Brandon Ayuk. It was just a despicable display. This man at least went out there, Jamar Chase, and played it kind of calm. Then he held in. Then he was going to maybe hold out again. Then he stayed holding in, and then he decided to show up and play football and say, you know what, I'll let my play speak for itself, and it did. And he went out and he got the triple crown, dropped that right on the face of the organization and said, now pay me more. And the organization's been dragging its feet. But now, this particular deal, this exact deal, makes Jamar Chase a $40 million per year player because he is easily as valuable to his team as this non-quarterback is to his team. In some cases, you could say more valuable. Some might argue that. But there's obviously a non-quarterback threshold, a ceiling that's been shattered and is now available for this man to venture to. And when his organization, the Bengals, say things like he'll become the highest non-paid quarterback in the league, They can't back down on that. They must go in the direction of at least this exact contract in terms of the $40 million per year annually. Who knows what it does? Yes, Space Ricky's correct. It affects Brock Purdy. It affects everyone. It affects Parsons. It affects everyone. Trades might happen now. This report here becomes more of a reality that trading Micah Parsons could become a situation to watch after the market jumped to $40 million per year. He gets $40 million. There's no $35 million, $37 million. He gets 40. He gets 40, or he's not signing anything anytime soon. He's getting traded. And if he gets traded, he will get $40 million, because no one's going to trade for Micah Parsons and not have the contract lined up and ready to go. And any trading party's willing to overpay. A trading party will overpay to get the deal done. So he'll get his deal if he gets traded. But now a trade that didn't look as likely looks maybe more likely. Jamar Chase is deserving of 40 if this guy gets 40. Not saying anybody deserves the 40 at the end of the day, but this is the market. The market is the market. The market's been set. The market's been moved. The market's been changed. Brock Purdy is connected to this web. Brock Purdy's 40 million. He's definitely getting 45 or more, Space Ricky. The starting offer was 45 by the Niners, but his value gets affected too. It's all a connected web. Brock Purdy's 45 just went up. Just off of the mere contract acceptance here, Brock Purdy, in his eyes, in almost anyone's eyes, is more important to his team than Myles Garrett is, because the Niners have a better shot at winning games and going to the playoffs and winning the division. I'm not saying the Browns, if they don't get the right quarterback, can't make waves right away. I think they can. I think they're a quietly crafty team. I do. I think, with Judy, with the potential running back they could draft in the second or third round, mixed with maybe them drafting Cam Ward, if Cam Ward should slip to number 2, or Shador, or maybe they make a Justin Fields move and maneuver, draft Ted McMillan or draft Ashton Genty, move down, do whatever. A Fields, Genty, Myles Garrett, and Judy. This is a pretty good team. Like, this could be, I could take this team to the playoffs this year if you handed this team to me. I wouldn't mess around. I'd mortgage some future and say, screw what happened in the past. Stop playing scared. Stop worrying about Deshaun Watson. Like, you got a lot of money committed. I get it. You're pot committed still to Deshaun Watson, but you're not playing him ever again. So let's move on. Let's stop dreading what happened, and let's stop living in the past. You don't need to wait. You can make aggressive moves. The cap is fake. The cap goes up every year. You can figure it out, and you can make the right moves with that 2 pick. Even if you move the 2 pick down, gain a future first rounder, draft Ashton Genty or Ted McMillan, and then you go get Justin Fields. Why not? Seems like a good plan to me. A plan that could lead to a playoff berth, if you ask me. So this is crazy. What it does to the market's crazy. How the Bengals react could be crazy. Here are the highest paid pass rushers in the NFL. Myles Garrett, $40 million. Max Crosby, $35.5 million. Nick Bosa, $34 million. These are pass rushers. The deal, as I just mapped out for Myles Garrett, is 6 total years, 4-year extension, $40 million per year, no trade clause, $122.8 million in total guarantees. This is a man getting paid. This is a man that's excited to get paid. This is a man that just set the market. Bengals, your turn. Ball's in your court, Bengals. What are you going to do next? Are you going to drag out this Jamar Chase contract negotiation until it's $45 million? Because it can go higher. Believe me. No one thought $40 million was locked and loaded or secured. And what do we say? Every day they wait, they risk paying more. And people probably said, how? I don't understand how. This is how. Another domino could drop still. Brock Purdy signing a surprising $58 million or $60 million per year deal would move Jamar Chase's value above 40. He'd be getting 41, 42. It all is connected. The interconnected web drags everyone's contract up. It's your turn, Bengals. Your play. What are you going to do? And again, Higgins, this is affected because now Jamar's locked in at 40. T. Higgins is not taking 30, 31, 32. If you think T. Higgins, because in your little world, and I'm not speaking to the majority of you, I'm speaking to the hater that thinks they know everything and says, Smitty, T. Higgins is worth $27 million. He's not getting more. That's not the way the world works, Steve. If you think T. Higgins off of this contract, then eventually springboarding off of his $40 million per year deal that he will get eventually, you think T. Higgins is going to accept, even now before he gets his 40, he knows, T. Higgins knows Jamar Chase is getting 40. You think T. Higgins is going to take $30 million, 31.5, 32? I don't think so. I don't think so. T. Higgins is the hottest commodity. If you really look at it and you say, okay, Godwin, 28 years old, Devontae Adams is maybe even past his prime, of even being able to remotely come close to producing like his old self. This is a weak free agent market. It's decimated. This doesn't hold a candle to the 2024 free agent market, where we had literally the best running back free agent market we've ever had in the history of the NFL, with Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, all three landed. This is a weak climate. T. Higgins has tremendous value. T. Higgins can ask for the world. T. Higgins can ask for his mother freaking $40 or $35 million if he wants. I'm not saying he gets it willingly. Let me put Higgins on screen here. I'm not saying he gets it willingly. I'm not saying this team is happy to pay T. Higgins this amount of money. I'm not saying it won't be a struggle. I'm not even saying that the Bengals will pay T. Higgins the $35 million he's going to now ask for. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying that's what T. Higgins is going to say. Give me 35. Give me 35. Give me 40, says Jamar Chase. T. Higgins might even say, you know what, give me 40. And I'm not saying he's getting 40, but he might ask for it. We don't know what in the hell's going on. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
I mean, this is going to get wilder before it gets calm. Chase and Higgins they're both just amazing receivers, and if anybody thinks that these two guys aren't getting the amount that they deserve, they're crazy. They're crazy. We have BBQ with a super chat. Hold on one second, Michael. BBQ with a super chat. With teams throwing $30 to $40 million. This is a $20 hauler, by the way, from our boy BBQ. BBQ dropping 20s.
Alert. Super chat alert.
BBQ going to Mars, dropping a $20 hauler, gets you a Mars shot. Actually gets you a Jupiter shot.
To Jupiter.
Appreciate you. He said with teams throwing 30 and 40 million per year at QBs, wide receivers, and defensive ends, top three absolutely will draft rookie QBs. It definitely. I don't disagree that this single move of $40 million to Garrett doesn't make the teams contemplating quarterback. I agree. It makes them consider it more because of the price of that position. But this is also a class where some people are scared of these quarterbacks at the same time. So I don't think in all cases that's true, but I think that whenever you see money going up like this, you do have a tendency to be like, wow, let's get Ward, let's get Shador on this young, this fresh, rookie contract. I mean, everything impacts everything. It's crazy how people act like some of these things aren't interconnected. When somebody tells me, hey, Smitty, that wide receiver contract, like if Jamar Chase signed $40 million per year today, someone might come at me and say, Smitty, that has nothing to do with Brock Purdy's contract. He's a quarterback. Or when Ayuk was dragging things out and then Jefferson got his $35 million per year, I went live and I started speaking about how it impacted Ayuk, and you'd have people in here, especially Niner fans, that were upset at me because they wanted to make sure everything was going to be okay. They're like, Smitty, Ayuk's deal has nothing to do with JJ's deal. Like, that is the most naive take I've ever heard. Acting like Garrett's deal has nothing to do with Jamar Chase's deal is one of the most naive things I've ever heard. That's lazy. That's sloppy. It has everything to do with it, especially in this case. Saying that Ayuk's deal has nothing to do with Jamar Chase's deal is lazy, sloppy, and naive. But there is a 100% connection between these two, because these are non-quarterbacks that are supposed to fight for who's going to get paid the most non-quarterback money. And his organization, the Bengals, Jamar Chase, they told everyone publicly that he's going to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the National Football League. Insert foot in mouth. Okay, go ahead, Michael from San Diego. You're live.
Yeah, how you doing, Smitty?
Good, bro.
I wanted to get your thoughts, man, on the fact that T. Higgins and Jamar Chase actually share the same agent. And I wanted to get your thoughts on how you would handle that if you were his agent, negotiating for both of them. So to me, that's a very interesting angle.
Yeah.
I don't hear people talking about
I'll
T.
tell you
Higgins
what.
fired his agent and took Jamar.
I'll tell you exactly what his plan is. If T. Higgins signs now, he won't get as much money if Jamar Chase signs first. But because right now there's an argument that T. Higgins deserves more than $30 million. That's the going thing that you hear everyone say. Like, he's not worth more than $30 million. But Jamar Chase, there's no denying now that the bar is $40 million, because he's supposed to be the highest non-quarterback, and he just got $40 million. It's a non-quarterback. If he sets the bar at 40, the discrepancy between 40 and 30 is so great that it only helps T. Higgins to see Jamar Chase go higher. But the problem is, it makes it a lot harder to sign both of them, and it makes the holdout and trade request and potential trade a lot more likely if Jamar Chase does sign first and gets $40 million. So it's not an easy question to answer. And as an agent, you're going to try and maximize, and you're not scared of the holdout. You're trying to get the money. So the answer is you get Jamar Chase inked at 40. And unless you're able to get Higgins 35, then Jamar is going to get 42. So I would say Jamar Chase first. To pull T. Higgins up as high as possible, get Jamar inked, so you get that ceiling number up there. Because right now, the number is 35. T. Higgins can't sign Justin Jefferson money, because that's the highest paid salary in the National Football League. He can't get that. If Jamar Chase resets it, then JJ's irrelevant, in a way. JJ's $35 million is unfortunate for JJ, because it has nothing to do with the highest paid wide receiver anymore. That's probably how I would suggest that if I was the agent, I'd be looking at it.
Do you think he has any incentive to try and keep him in Cincinnati, or you think it's just, hey, I got to get you the most money possible?
Yeah, because Higgins wants to stay, so his client is wanting to stay in Cincinnati. But at some point, he's going to feel so disrespected that the fractured relationship component of the required two pieces to make a trade happen, fractured relationship or divide between player and team, and then offer that a team can't refuse. And the offer that the Bengals are going to get that they can't refuse, that will change. Because if there's a fractured relationship and they're looking at a slow start and they can't wrap up their wide receiver room, like, they got to make a move. So if they believe this is not a curable situation, even after the draft, they want to make sure they get the wide receiver room filled and give Joe Burrow what he needs. If they wait until way after the NFL draft and there's no players left in the free agent market, there's no trade opportunities, there's no draft anymore. You might draft somebody anyway in assuming that things could go awry or something like that, but you're not going to spend a high draft pick yet unless you don't have T. Higgins on your roster. Like Amari Cooper is available. Like, all those things you got to decide now. So the Bengals are going to have to make a decision whether they're going to dig their heels in for the long haul. Higgins and his agent will have to make a decision. And if there's a trade request, it's probably coming well before the NFL draft so that T. Higgins can give the Bengals enough time to navigate the waters and find the piece that they feel comfortable with and then say goodbye to T. Higgins. Because if T. Higgins and his agent don't give the Bengals enough time, if they don't request a trade, and the NFL draft and free agency come and go, there's no option for the Bengals. They're going to make him play on the tag. There's a real threat. The leverage for T. Higgins to request a trade goes away the moment the NFL draft day 1 is gone. All right, well, day 2, because second rounder. Like, the moment the draft passes, T. Higgins has no leverage anymore whatsoever, because there's nothing to replace. They're better off saying, look, if you come back, we got you. If you don't come back, we don't have you, right? You're on the tag, and we can't even replace you anyway at this point. So, like, we're better off just making you play on the tag whenever you come back. If you get hurt, you get hurt. We can't control that now. But ahead of the draft, they can control a lot of things. So this is a really critical part of the trade, journey, if Higgins is to go on that journey. But he's wavering right now. He's probably not super insulted. But bro, if he gets $40 million, Jamar Chase, or let's just say neither one of them are getting the Bengals to reply to them, and they're sitting there watching this, and they're going, holy crap. Like Micah Parsons is. And Micah Parsons said this. He tweeted out this right here. He tweeted out WTF is what Micah Parsons tweeted out. Let me see if I have that somewhere. I think I got it clipped here. And, so Micah Parsons is watching. Everybody's watching. Everybody is reacting.
Dude, Trey Hendrickson's watching, yeah? What about that? That's a whole other layer as well, right?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. And so I would say that Trey Hendrickson's probably, I can't imagine that the Bengals can do all three now. So Hendrickson's the most expendable. And I know someone's going to try and argue that. And I'm not trying to say that it's a good thing. I'm not trying to say that this is the best scenario for the Bengals defense. But I hate when people act like that explains why you get rid of T. Higgins. It doesn't. This is what Micah Parsons tweeted out. He said, LOL, yo, WTF, crying emoji. So he's watching. Jamar Chase is watching. Michael Jordan's watching. They're all watching. I don't know. This is going to be crazy. In that BBQ with an additional super chat. Appreciate you, BBQ. It says, Bengals letting Hendrick shop tells me they're going to sign Higgins and draft a young defensive player. Agreed. And in as much as Hendrick, look, I'm not saying that Trey's easy to let go, but you can't let this offense change. The offense is why they almost, you could even say, even with the struggles last year and the trying to bounce back and climb back up, and they did a great job. The offense did a great. Joe Burrow was unreal. Joe Burrow was like 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 3 touchdowns the entire like 6, 7, last 7, 8 games of the season. He was a nonstop 2 and 3 and 5 touchdowns. It's crazy. I think it was all 3 touchdowns or more. This is the part that can have you beat the Chiefs. This is the piece that you can't mess with. The Bengals defense is why they keep losing, but you don't even get back to square one if T. Higgins is gone, unless you replace him with, Devontae Adams would be a pretty decent plug and play for 1 year, but you don't want that. You want the tripod. You want the Higgins, Chase, and Burrow and Chase Brown stack together, the quad pod, but in this specific case, the tripod, Chase, Higgins, and Burrow, and then you do your best to replace him or improve the defense and coach it up. You can't coach up T. Higgins. You can coach up the defense a little more. Not saying it's an ideal world. You want to re-sign all four, or re-sign both Trey and T, but you're not necessarily going to do that anymore. And the fact that, they've already said go ahead and explore means they've already surrendered the idea that signing both is going to be doable, and the expendable piece is Trey, not T. So T is definitely in their mind a piece that they do not want to let go. But that doesn't mean they won't have to. So crazy.
And I feel like if they have to, then do you think they double back around to Trey at that point?
They could. I mean, certainly could. Yeah. But maybe not though. I mean, maybe is he going to want $40 million? I'm not saying he deserves what Myles Garrett got, but is he going to want that? Is he going to just like everybody said that and he was not worth it. But Brandon Ayuk wasn't worth $30 million. It didn't really matter. Brandon Ayuk was sold on the fact that he was $30 million. And eventually the Niners folded. So does Trey want 40? Yeah, he does. His agent wants it. He wants it.
Back. I mean, yeah.
Not saying he should get what Garrett gets, but that's what he's going to ask for. And I can't control whether he comes back down to reality or not. I don't know about you, but I have nothing to do with it. And in T. Higgins, the same thing. T. Higgins could say, I want $37 million. And I'm not saying that he's worth that or he'll get that, but we can't control what the players want. And if anybody thinks that T. Higgins is okay with yesterday's price is in today's price. $30 million for Brandon Ayuk has nothing to do with T. Higgins. Doesn't matter what you think, what I think, what anybody thinks. Especially if $40 million, even before Jamar Chase inks $40 million a year, T. Higgins and his agent, because like you said, they're all connected. They're talking. He knows that Jamar Chase, whether Jamar Chase signs it yet or not, Jamar Chase's contract is $40 million. If I'm T. Higgins' agent, Jamar Chase's agent, if I'm T. Higgins, if I'm any receiver, I already accept in my head, written in stone, that Jamar Chase's contract's $40 million. I'm not negotiating that. I'm not debating that. I'm not having it out with somebody going, oh yeah, I'm getting paid 35. If I'm T. Higgins, yeah, I'm not Jamar, but I'll take $5 million less. Sounds like a good number. That's where T. Higgins' mind is at. All right, last question, Michael, then I got to go over to Drew.
No, that's pretty much it, man. Good talk. I'm about to hit the gym. Appreciate you.
All right, go get a pump in, bro. Later.
Yeah.
All right, Drew, you're live.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, the Bengals do have a lot of cap space to sign a lot of these guys, but at the same time, it's not really a cap issue. It's the Bengals are known for not having a lot of money from their ownership. So I think it's more of a cash issue. If you're giving out all these big contracts, you're talking about over $100 million up front that you're paying a guy through a signing bonus and all of that. Now you're going to give that to T. Higgins. You're going to give that to Jamar Chase. Then Trey Hendrickson, all of a sudden you're talking $300, $400, $500 million.
Well, Hendrickson's already gone
ownership,
at this point. In
ownership
most
doesn't have that
eyes,
money.
in almost anyone's eyes, Trey's not a part of this anymore. So it is coming down to T. Higgins. But keep in mind, Joe Burrow has already gone on record over a dozen times saying that he'll do whatever it takes with his contract to make sure that this works. And at the end of the day, I'm not saying that the organization pays out Chase and Higgins. Remember that this is a business. Okay, this is a business. Mm-hmm. This is not a charity. This is not a best friend club. And Higgins has a tag on him that business-wise, you can still say, look, I know this sucks, bro, but you're playing on the tag. And the tag allows us to win. And we're going to offer you $33 million per year, T. Higgins. You either take it or you're playing on the tag. There definitely could be a hard line stance for the Bengals organization with T. Higgins. They can't with Jamar Chase. They can't. He's getting $40 million a year. That's the end of the discussion. Yeah. There's no discussion about that. Whether they break on T. Higgins or not, they have him. T. Higgins can put up a fight. T. Higgins can hold out. T. Higgins can sit out half the season if he wants. T. Higgins is a very injury-prone player, so he can increase his likelihood of injury in 2025 and piss us all off. That's certainly in the cards for T. Higgins, and I do think he plays this out to an extreme degree if the Bengals play this out to an extreme degree. But there is 1,000% no negotiation or discussion that Jamar Chase is a must. But T. Higgins is in a tough spot because technically speaking, they don't have to do anything. They don't. I'm not saying that's smart. I'm not saying that won't have the Bengals start off 0-3. I'm not saying it won't have T. Higgins get injured, but you're correct, and the Bengals have a card to play that is very, very much locked in, and they have the upper hand. It's just a matter of, does it derail the season? Like, if you can't afford to pay both of them, you better just do it if your aspirations are to win a Super Bowl in 2025. Because if T. Higgins does take it the distance, and I think he will, and if the Bengals take it the distance, which I think they're 50% likely to say, hey, 33 or that's it, and then T's got to make that decision, and I don't think he's going to accept it, especially now that 40s is guaranteed for Jamar Chase in his mind. This could get ugly. This could get ugly, and it could be one of those things where it's Brandon Ayuk. You know, I hope it isn't. I hope the Bengals decide to pay up. Paying up is the right move. You have a football team. You know, you have a football team, Drew, and you do have to pay players. So this is on the Bengals. If the Bengals decide not to lock down the wide receiver that Joe Burrow wants back, the best wide receiver in the league that just got the Triple Crown, and a team that very much looks like they can beat any team on any given Sunday, you've got tons more money to make if you make a Super Bowl. Do you know how much money this team's going to make if they make a Super Bowl appearance? It'll be well worth paying T. Higgins. Like, the merchandise, every single thing goes up as if this team wins. So from an economic standpoint, from a money standpoint, you gotta weigh that out and say, okay, yeah, paying Jamar Chase and T. Higgins all this cash, you know, and maybe T. Higgins' deal isn't as friendly up front as Jamar Chase, and that's how they get this done. But you've got Joe Burrow willing to work with it, and you've got a whole bunch of money to make if this works. So at the end of the day, it pays for itself. People need to understand that part of the business. But it's gonna be a wild ride. I don't think it's gonna be tough enough. What?
I could probably get 2 out of 3 of these guys, and you know, like, obviously you pay Chase. He's better than Higgins. So do you pay also Higgins or Hendrickson? And, you know, Hendrickson had 17.5 sacks 2 years in a row. He also plays the run really well. He had 8 stuffs and 10 stuffs, according to ESPN. Like, but they're letting him test the market, apparently, in trade. So maybe that is a sign they will sign Higgins and just try to build the greatest show on earth 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, they have already indicated that it is T. Higgins they're keeping because, A, he's franchise tagged. So no matter what, they don't...
I mean next year when they give him the deal.
But they're already letting Hendrickson explore the market. So, like, he's already almost as good as gone if the market allows it, you know. And I think that there's more of a trade piece there, yeah. So, all right, bro.
Does that mean they're letting 2 of them walk, though?
No, they're not letting. The only reason T. Higgins won't be on the roster is if they get an amazing trade for him. That he's not going anywhere. He's franchise tagged. They can't let him walk.
I mean, next year. Obviously, he's franchise tagged.
We're talking
about getting out. Who are we giving a deal to?
I mean, they can do whatever they want. They could tag him again. The price goes up. Every year you're paying 120% last year's salary just by tagging T. Higgins this year, so it's costly. So odds are no, but you know, if he earns his keep, like, you got to also understand that if he doesn't earn his keep, then they can sign him a lot cheaper. I mean, a lot happens in 1 year, bro. Bobby Slowick was the top head coaching candidate coming out of the 2023 season. He was as hyped up as Ben Johnson. He decided not to go look for a job, just like Kingsbury did this year. And then 1 year later, he's fired. So T. Higgins could have a bad year, and then they can retain him. You know, he'll sign a hometown deal. It's hard to know. But I'll tell you this.
Yeah,
the Bengals, it's in the Bengals.
$250 million to dish out up front between Chase and Higgins as well. Like,
it's in the Bengals' best interest to get it done. It's in the best interest of the Bengals to get it done. But either way, they've got both of them in their eyes. All right, bro.
Yeah, they have a cap. Like, there's cash and there's cap.
Yeah.
So just because you have the cap doesn't mean the owner can physically pay that because the way the cap works, up front, if you're going to give a signing bonus, you know, and try to, you know, say you give $100 million signing bonus to spread $20 million out over 5 years. Well, you have to pay $100 million up front at the signing. And if you do that with 3 guys, you're paying $300 million. The Bengals don't have that kind of money.
Well,
you know?
it's not
That
all.
kind of cash.
It's not going to be the same for the 2 players. And looking at this is $100 million cash the first 3 years in Myles Garrett's case. So it's not necessarily going to be as costly as you're suggesting, but there's gonna need to be a lot of cash for sure. But they'll figure that out, and there's enough to get this done because T. Higgins is not going to require the same amount as Jamar Chase. Nor are they giving $100 million up front in cash. That's not the case. They're not doing that at all. All right, I gotta go, Drew. Appreciate you. All right, phone lines open. Dial in. Hopefully, this stuff gets worked out sooner than later because the Bengals will have to do some repairing on the defense. It's not only did the defense struggle, right? But now they're losing Trey, most likely. But they're going to get some compensation back or Trey back. They either get good compensation back or they get their player back. And so if they lose their player, they get a draft capital pick that they got to smartly use, and then they got to still repair this team. So it's a possibility that the offense takes, I would say, even a step forward because they're all getting better together. But the defense might take a step back before it starts trying to take 2 steps forward through the draft. But understand that you can coach up the defensive pieces better than you can coach up the offensive pieces in most cases. Not saying like in the case of a Myles Garrett, and I'm not saying Trey isn't good, but is he as good as Myles Garrett? I would say, no. But I certainly believe that, if you're smart in the draft, you can replace Trey more than you can replace T, for sure. Because the receiver you draft is going to take years. The defensive player you can have playing at a high level right away. It's a big difference in maturation. Final call or 2.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Thank you, BBQ, for dropping the super chats, my boy. Both of them. BBQ to the moon. Final call, final take before your boy jumps out. I'll be back later. There's constant news dropping, so we'll be here throughout the day. And I've got other videos. I'm trying to cook up some video uploads, maybe a premiere. The Dynasty channel. If anybody isn't subscribed to the Dynasty channel, the link is in the description of the video. The link is also right here. I'll drop it. Subscribe to the Dynasty channel right there. Do it live. All right, I'll see you all a little later today. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, next dominoes, or one of the next dominoes to drop. Are the Bengals smart enough to say this could get worse? Let's just give them 40. Let's just do it. We were trying to give them 37 a few hours ago, and now we're expected to give them 40, and we have to give them 40. Jamar Chase ain't taking any less than what this man just inked. Jamar Chase ain't taking any less than this 40 APY. There's no way. It is what it is. Do it live. Pancake stack.
The stack above all stacks. It's time to drop.
People
the
are getting
pancake
burrowed left and
emoji.
right, and people are going to remember it.
Best stack in fantasy, baby. Best tripod, best quad pod. Do it live. See you all later. Dynasty show today. Subscribe to the Dynasty channel. Here's the link one more time. Links in the description as well. Subscribe to that Dynasty channel, and we'll be back for more breaking news. Appreciate you.